Welcome to the Chasing Brighter podcast.
You're about to go on a journey of self-discovery as we chase a brighter you. Every single week, we will bring you new episodes that will cover everything from lifestyle and tips to more serious conversations about grief, life, and hardships.
Allow this show to be a reminder to always keep chasing a brighter version of you. Let's get into it.
Hi, welcome to today's episode. In May, we've been talking about embracing creativity and following your passions. And so today we want to talk about how you can bring value into everyday tasks, such as meal planning, home organization, things that maybe seem boring. We want to explore how we can infuse some creativity.
Yeah, creativity, we've been talking about it this month, and I think it's really, even us having this theme has been awesome because it makes me think differently about what is creativity and helping to gain even perspectives on everyday things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But also, I think we are all doing creative things. We're all creative beings. And maybe this is also about us being more mindful about the activity we're doing and how creativity is a part of that. And I think sometimes even just that mindfulness can lead to a little bit more fulfillment and gratitude.
Yeah, I think just maybe recognizing, oh, maybe I am enjoying this task and how can I do more of it? Or, like you said, be more mindful of that enjoyment. So I think what we want to just talk about today is 5 areas, maybe more. We don't know. We might let it flow, but 5 areas of where you can add some creativity in everyday life. And so one of the things I love so much is your everyday surroundings, right? How are your everyday surroundings? Are they inspiring to you? Is there color there? This makes me laugh because I move my furniture and change things around all the time. And mom says grandma did that. Grandma Ludovisi used to do that all the time.
We used to do
And
that
so,
even growing up.
yeah. So if
Whenever our
you don't
couches were
have
moving
a
out.
bunch of new furniture, it's move it around, reconfigure it. Like I have brought our sectional that's on the first floor by myself. I moved it upstairs and then brought it downstairs. Justin's, please don't do these things when I'm gone. I'm afraid you're going to kill yourself. But I'm like, I don't want to hear negativity. So I'm like, wait till everyone's gone and I'm moving sectionals and things like that. I love Etsy and
Mhm.
having prints, just finding some art I like on Etsy and then just printing it off of my printer. And you can get frames from IKEA really inexpensively. Swap out art.
Yeah, I think we all live in our house, and any of us who work remotely, a lot of us do. You're in our house, you're in your home all the
A
time.
lot.
And
Yeah.
it's fun just to get a little more variety by, to your point, thinking about decor and ways to enhance it with decor.
Yeah.
Plants. We are
Mhm.
on a huge plant kick in our house. We bought a couple plants when they were really tiny, and they're like killing it now. And so, really having a lot of greenery is something that we've been doing a lot
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I studied, like, the modern boho movement. Justina
Mhm.
Blakeney, I was saying her name's right, but she's blown up in textiles, and she has had stuff, I think, at, like, even Target, but sometimes you can even get an art book or a book, a design book, and learn what to do. So I love to have kind of succulents, greenery, different textures. The room that I record in, I call it my Zen den. And so I have printed out art from Etsy that I love. And so it has the fist woman up because it bothers people say man up. And so I like the saying woman up. And then it has some little sayings and stuff that inspire me, and I like macrame and things like that in this
Mhm.
room. But when we were preparing for today's episode, one of the things I thought about is adding art into my kitchen.
Mhm.
So that's something I want to do. I have put stuff up seasonally, but I think I want to do across a wall, like little square frames of some art. And another thing I would like to do, Gabby and Dominic has some beautiful art pieces as well, but Gabby is in art this year and has created some really beautiful things.
Oh,
And
neat.
so I would like to go get a whole bunch of frames and then just create it, add it to a gallery wall. And
Yeah.
sometimes our kids have some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Our school has an art show annually, and framing and adding some of their art I think is pretty too.
Yeah, and I bought the art display frames. I think it was like a 2-pack, and it's where it's glass and it's a framed piece of art, but you can swap in and out the art pieces, and it's
So
really
it's like a
designed
little
to
thinner than
show
like a shadow
it's
box-ish, like
actually about
thicker
an
than a
inch.
frame or
It's about an
yeah,
inch and a half thick, and
yeah.
it's got a way that you when the kids bring home art, particularly Beckett, because he's our artist, for the most part, I could put them in a frame and they're on display, and you just switch them in and
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. And, other things too are changing out pillows, throw
Yeah, that's
pillows.
a
I
good
love
point.
changing out
Mhm.
pillows, blankets to add color, and I do like fresh flowers, and a super inexpensive hack is you can get, like, a potted plant of daisies, at the grocery store for, like, $10, and then I have a lot of little, like, bud vases or little jars, and you can clip them, and you can make from that like 8 vases full of flowers and put around your house. So those are simple things to switch things up and get out of the mundane in your home.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it doesn't have to be super complicated. I think you figure out what your style is, and the other thing just going along those lines is not only you were talking about furniture, and I know this was what you were saying, but I would say it a little differently, which is like repurposing stuff you have in your house. So it's
Yeah.
like thinking about taking a moment and kind of thinking about what you have and what you're not using or where things go and repurposing. I've moved things in and out of the kids' bedrooms, and it's fun when you can get creative without having to like make a big project of it and make do with what you have. That's kind of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I have Grandma and Grandpa Martin's dresser, and I have changed Grandma's dresser into a coffee bar. I had painted it and distressed it, and then I moved up to our room and my room and painted it, and then when we redid Gabby's room, I painted it a different color and changed all the hardware to look more modern chic, and if you wanna even you can even paint some of those pieces too when
It's
you're
fun.
repurposing them. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So we talked about one being your surroundings. Another part of just thinking about everyday life is even about just like what you're doing, what your routine is, like
Yeah.
trying something different, whether it's a new restaurant or looking at a new neighborhood and getting out of your comfort zone and doing some things that inspire you. What would be an example of that that you've done, Jess?
It can be like a small little trip too. So one of the things like we talked before when you and we went to 7 Magic Mountains.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
probably are, depending how remotely you live, but between 30 minutes to an hour, maybe like would you say like an attraction or monument or something that you could go to that you maybe don't normally do. One of the things that I have done and want to do more of is a lot of cities have urban ethnic enclaves. I looked this up because I wanted to see what a Chinatown was called, and they're called urban ethnic enclaves.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so you know how a town will have like a Chinatown, you live in Ukrainian village, there'll be like little Italy. Instead of traveling, maybe try to go to so I love our Chinatown area. And actually our Chinatown area has a lot of really super popular in social media restaurants, coffee shops, little places too. But I've gone there and took mom to try dim sum for the first time. So something like that locally. How about you?
So one of the things I did recently, Beckett had a soccer game in a neighborhood called Old Town, which is really pretty close to the lake. A lot of old like mansions, big houses, but it's spring gardening season. And I walked around just to get some steps in, but really was looking at the gardens and getting some ideas about different ways to plant things and really got inspired to figure out like what kind of plants I should plant in the spring, even in my own yard based on what they had.
Is that a horticulture? Is that would you say you're like a budding
No,
I lost my tongue there, a horticulturist?
I am
No?
not.
Oh, but
No.
you're very interested and inspired, right, by varieties and looking around
Yeah.
and
And I like it's not hard to I don't think it's hard. I've learned now because, like, our grandma Martin was, like, a huge green thumb, and everyone always really admired and respected what she did, but I
Mhm.
think in hindsight, like, she just leaned into it and just did stuff. I don't think she
Yeah.
ever felt like she was an expert, even though she had a bajillion books on some things, and
Mhm.
there were definitely things that I think she picked up over the years, and she knew a lot about a lot of things, but part of it was she just did it, and she
Yeah.
I think for gardening in some way, it's like taking care of it and watering it and like doing the things that you're supposed to do. It's not like rocket science, but you have to take care of things
Yeah.
and be like responsible for them.
But I do have a murderous thumb. Is that the opposite of a green thumb? Where it's like, I hear you saying that, but it's like, I easily kill plants. And
Is
so
it because you don't
I
water
could
them?
cultivate it. No, it's, I think you have to be careful because I've overwatered. Like I've
Yes,
tried to get succulents
exactly.
repeatedly and I bought spray bottles of water. I'm trying all the things. I am so incredibly proud of myself. I have kept 3 orchids alive. So I'm
Wow.
just sticking with the orchid family at this time. I have like a what's the plant that's super everyone has and it can grow on a vine, it's big green leaves. It's really what's
Yes.
that called? Get a word.
I have one right now.
So
Um,
I've kept 1 of 4 alive. So it's like hanging on. It's 75% alive. But I try different things, like, I try to move it in the light, take it away from the light, less water, more water, so I am playing with it, but I think that what I'm saying is that I think you do have a talent there, and grandma had a talent, like a natural talent. I think some people are more talented in that arena.
I really disagree with you. I do not have a talent. I have killed a lot of things,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
things that die are the things that don't get the care and feeding that they need and the time that they need them. So I think that's one thing that as I've gotten older, and I also like Brian is very good about helping, like helping to take care of things too. Philodendron,
Philodendron. Okay.
philodendron. So
One of
I
those.
had, so the philodendron, I had it in my office and it almost died. A, because I didn't water it, but B, it was not a good spot. I think plants need to find their little homes and they will thrive.
Yes. It's
And so
true.
it's like maybe being a plant whisperer. And if,
Yeah.
again, that's where I was like leaning into really taking care of that plant and thinking about what that plant wants. The other thing is, my plants do well. Think about this when they are near a water access point that I'm lazy. So, like, I have plants in the living room, they don't get watered that much. All the plants around my kitchen, killing it because I give them a lot of water
Yeah, the
here and
kitchen
there.
ones, I moved some to my bathroom, like, we have like, a big platform thing around the bathtub, and I was like, "Oh, I'll put plants there." Water source, light, died. But I don't stand in the corner of my bathroom as much as I'm in the kitchen. So, yeah, we have a
Right.
lot of light and a lot of water in the kitchen, and I
I
think
set reminders for myself now
yeah,
on some of my plants because I realize I need to,
and
like
I just think that is probably we've made that into a 6th piece here of just how having plants and living things can kind of
right.
joy,
Yeah.
focus, and mindfulness into your home. I love this one. I'm interested in where you are on this one. Allow yourself to daydream. Allow your mind to wander and think of what ifs, removing obstacles. I think I'm a huge daydreamer. How about you?
I think that I like to sit with things, and we all live in a very busy world now where there's a lot of distractions. And really, I think it's part of mindfulness personally, is just
Mhm.
really making sure that you're taking time to do that. One of the things that I was talking to Brian about a couple weeks ago was I was like, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about maybe taking, like, going back into the corporate world and I was like, I need to sit with that a little bit. And I found myself saying, I need to sit with something a little bit where it's like, it's not like I need to, it's like you try something on and you just let yourself sit in your mind. What would that look like? And try to like let your brain go in all these ways. So I think about daydreaming like that too.
Mm.
I think it's great. I think it helps to solve problems sometimes. And I definitely do not do it enough. I think that's a great thing that even I'm forcing my kids though to do when, like, we're driving and I'm like, "Put your phone down, put your stuff down, stare at the window," because we had to do that
There
so
was
much
a
as kids.
really funny reel that Justin sent me. And it was like, I think the dad like showed the kids on their phones or whatever in the car, and then he goes, "This is the game we played." And it's him leaning against the window and it's raining, and he was, like, racing the raindrops. And he was like, "Yes, yes, my raindrop is winning the race." And I just made me laugh because it's, like, something I completely forgot
Oh,
about
I can remember.
from
Or you see
childhood,
the
but
raindrops, like,
the
merging into
yes,
one another.
yes, and or you would fog it up and write
Yes.
things. I think that's the issue now, right? Is that we don't have quiet time, and so then that's uncomfortable, and like you were talking about
We've conditioned
about
ourselves to
being
fill up that
comfortable and the
space.
uncomfortable. Yeah, and so I like that. I daydream all kinds of ways, like, my mind will wander to working remotely and traveling the world or living in a camper or, like, buying a farm or,
So do
I
you
can
set
easily
aside
go
time to be quiet in a quiet space? When are you doing these things?
Kelly, I think all the time. Watch my eyes if they glaze over. I might be daydreaming during. I think my mind wanders easily, but I'm also, because of our lifestyle, in my car all the time. Sometimes I purposely won't take my AirPods and go for a walk. I can do it when I'm laying down getting ready for bed, but a lot of it in the car, I think,
I like that.
you
Yeah, I
know.
think I agree. I think in the car because you're not on your phone and you're just like there.
And I'm not practical. I married someone who's very practical, and so my dreams stress him out because he either feels like he has to drop the
Do those
hammer
things.
or he doesn't wanna tell me no. It's just I'm like, sometimes I'm like, "Just let me dream," right? There's another and you stop talking about reels, but there's a reel where it's like when my wife has $5 left of the Target gift card and she's, "Hey, babe, let's get thought we get new carpet. Hey, babe, we should get a camper." Hey, babe, and I feel like that's how I am. I'm like, "Justin, have you ever thought about, like, getting an RV or we should get a second home?" I feel like I'm always having these ideas, like, "We should get a diving board." So I like to daydream. I like the idea of usually for us, it's after dinner. It doesn't have to be after dinner, but allowing your children to make up a game where they create the rules and you have to follow them. And alternatively, if you have older kids, you can allow them to create or add to house rules on like an existing board game. Do you guys have house rules for games?
Probably not as much, maybe, but I think just generally board game play is really a
Mhm.
fun, creative way to do
Yeah.
to be spend time together.
Yeah.
In fact, we used to do when we first moved into the house, we had after dinner on Sunday nights, we would do this like drawing thing where somebody would say something random. We'd all have to draw what that is. I don't know, like a monster with a cat head or something
Mhm.
bizarre. And everyone would figure out what that looked like. And that was really fun. And
Is
then
that fair? Is Brian really good at drawing?
that ended up becoming the problem is because I think some of the kids who were more competitive felt like, wow,
Right.
this is impossible. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I just bought these art dice, which are really cool. So that's like setting, theme, blah, blah, blah. So it can
Like
be
Rory's Story of
so
Cubes and
so
those
it's
lines.
so like abstract, like nobody you can interpret it however you want. So nobody is in the wrong. And we've been doing that, which a lot of
That's
fun.
cool.
And I think it's a great way to not only for creativity, I think the reason why some people have a hard time with it is because they don't feel that they're good at it. And the
Like the
point of
perfectionism
it
comes in. Yeah.
yes. So, like, this game and the point of the game isn't, like, a right or a wrong. It's like you're doing it and being okay and forcing my kids to just lean into it rather than be like, feel
Maybe
like their artistic father who has a master's in fine art is going
right.
to yeah.
Win the game. But I think what I'm hearing you say and what we're saying is that creativity is a way to add gray into the black and white world,
Yeah.
right? To like to
Yes.
try to get us to think outside the box a little bit. I want to put that game in the show notes. Make sure we have that game in the show
Yeah.
notes. And that does remind me, if listeners you're not familiar with Rory's Story Cubes, which I swear, Kelly, you bought for Gabby and I used in play therapy. It
Oh,
is was
cool.
such a good therapeutic tool. But you roll the dice and then you just make a story. Let's so it shows
Mm,
like
mhm.
fire, a castle, whatever, and then you make a story, and the next person rolls, and you keep adding on and going to the story, which you can do with nothing, right? Just sit around
Yep.
and
Yep.
start a story and everybody create the story. When my kids were little, I loved masking tape because Grandma Millie loved masking tape, and that was like the best thing ever. So I used to make masking tape square on the ground, and we had to throw a ball into it or things like that. So I think it's fun to get the kids involved. But I like that art cube idea, so I'd like to explore that.
Yeah.
Check that out. So our final tip to add some creativity into the everyday is just about cooking and how can you add fun and creativity into your regular cooking routine And one of the things I thought would be fun is that you just bought some ingredients for dinner that sounded good and then just tried to create it with no recipe. Have you ever done that?
No, because what I not specifically gone out, bought a bunch of stuff, be like, "Oh, I'll see how this goes." I do have a CSA, so you do get a community sourced agriculture, community supported agriculture. You'll get like a box of random things, which actually is coming up maybe sometime soon, and then you make do with it. I think the
Mhm.
one thing that I do a lot of with creativity though is I have a recipe of something I want and I have 2 or 3 base ingredients of it that I have, and then I'm modifying, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a lot of my creativity is that and trying to figure out like tweaking things, perfecting
Yes.
things depending on what
Mhm.
it is that I'm making regularly.
There's a lot of opportunity to be creative in the kitchen.
For
One of the
sure,
things
yeah.
I've talked about is we found out there's a little Japanese market, like, right by our house, so that's been fun to just take the kids and
Oh, cool.
buy some ingredients, and then it popped up and I forgot. I'd like to go again. We have, I'm sure, a ton of major cities have this. I'm sure you have, like, 5,000,000 in Chicago, but an international market that you can go to. So there's an international market, and I remember when I went, it was broken up by, like, nationality. So that's an area where you can get a lot of fun things. That could be a fun way to be creative is go to a market you don't normally go to that might have some ingredients that might push you to expand your palate.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Even just like different shapes of pasta or different sauces
Yeah.
and different ways to prepare things. Yeah, I used to, I haven't been in a couple months actually, but we live in Ukrainian village and there's a Ukrainian market. There's like actually a couple of them, but one of them in particular where we used to live across the street from it. So we were going
Mhm.
all the time and getting different meats and different things.
I just remember they had the big bin of sauerkraut.
Big bin of sauerkraut,
Yeah.
big bin of pickles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which my kids would love my kids love pickles now. They would love that, getting a pickle. But yeah,
Didn't
going
have
to
a
different
lid at the time, so it was a little like, But we did sausage and sauerkraut quite a bit, and plus you're boiling that, so whatever was out, it'll cook itself
well,
out again.
sauerkraut already is a probiotic, right?
Very good for you,
So
yes.
you're good for the gut.
Mhm.
And with the pickles, I think that'd be interesting to see the immunity of the locals in that area, whoever shares in the community pickles. This was fun, and I think it's inspiring for me of all the things that I wanna try and do. I want the challenge of not spending a lot of money or bringing things into the house, but trying to be creative and engaging the family in that.
Yeah, I agree. I think creativity is really sparked by curiosity, and I think that is really something that we all wanna be doing, is, like, being curious about things and trying them out and using things that we haven't done before, and yeah, I just think that is what creativity is. I think sometimes we get lost in, "I'm not creative." Actually,
Right.
everybody is
Yeah.
creative.
And I think that's the goal of this month, right? Join us and explore what that might look like for you because there is something out there for everyone. Because as we've
Yeah.
said before, creativity has so many benefits.
Yes. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear our latest episodes as soon as they drop.
If you loved today's episode, share with a friend. Come visit us on Instagram or Facebook. Make sure to give us a follow. We have lots of giveaways. If you want to know more about Kelly and I, read our blogs, find more tips, tools, and resources, check that out at chasingbrighter.com. Thanks.